Atlanta has seen plenty of scandals, but this one hit different. The streets were buzzing, timelines exploding, and group chats full of disbelief. Because when T.I. shouted those 5 words, "I never loved Shekinah," it felt like the final explosion in a story that had been silently building for years. Nobody expected him to snap like that. Nobody expected the truth to sound so cold. And yet, behind those angry words, there was pain, guilt, and a past that refused to stay buried. It all started with loyalty. Back when T.I. and Tiny were trying to rebuild their public image after messy headlines and cheating rumors, Shekinah was the friend who stood beside them no matter what. Loud, funny, fearless, she defended Tiny like a sister. Every time the internet came for Tiny, Shekinah was right there, fighting back. People loved their friendship because it felt real in a world full of fake smiles and PR tricks. You couldn't fake the kind of bond they had, or at least that's what everyone thought. T.I. never seemed too fond of Shekinah's energy. He'd joke about her being too loud, too much of a distraction. But deep down, there was something about her confidence that rubbed him the wrong way. Maybe it was because Shekinah never bowed down to him the way others did. She wasn't scared of his name, his fame, or his temper. She spoke her mind. And in T.I.'s world, that kind of honesty could either earn respect or start a war. At first, things were fine. The 3 of them laughed, filmed together, went on trips, and shared a bond that looked unbreakable. But as time passed, people began noticing tension. The playful jokes between T.I. and Shekinah started sounding sharp. The smiles began to fade in interviews. Fans joked that T.I. looked like he couldn't stand being in the same room with her. But behind closed doors, something deeper was happening. Something Tiny never saw coming. The more successful Shekinah became on her own, the more T.I. seemed irritated. She was no longer just Tiny's sidekick. She had her own followers, her own platform, her own voice. And T.I., who liked control in every part of his life, didn't like that someone so close to his wife was suddenly becoming independent. People started whispering that T.I. saw Shekinah as a threat. Not romantically, but emotionally. She had influence over Tiny. She knew too much. She talked too much. And one wrong word from her could destroy everything. Then came the moment that changed everything. The argument that nobody forgot. Tiny and Shekinah had a falling out. No one really knew what caused it at first. Some said it was jealousy. Others said it was betrayal. But according to those close to them, it started because of something Shekinah revealed. Something that touched a nerve in Tiny and sent T.I. over the edge. Whatever that secret was, it ended years of friendship in a single night. After the fight, Shekinah went online crying, confused, saying she didn't understand why Tiny turned on her. Fans felt bad for her, but T.I., he stayed silent for a while. That silence was cold, calculated, and full of resentment. Because behind the scenes, he was furious. He felt exposed. And when he finally decided to speak, he didn't hold back. It happened during a heated conversation that wasn't even supposed to go public. T.I. had been asked about Shekinah during a podcast, and instead of brushing off the topic, he exploded. His voice was tight with anger when he said, "I never loved Shekinah. Stop connecting me to her." The clip hit the internet within hours, and Atlanta went wild. People couldn't believe it. Was this T.I. setting the record straight, or was it a man lashing out to hide something deeper? The backlash was instant. Some fans said he was finally freeing himself from years of rumors. Others said the outburst proved there was something emotional there once, because nobody screams like that over someone they truly don't care about. Shekinah didn't respond immediately, but her silence said everything. When she finally posted, it was a simple message. It's always the ones you protect the most who break you the hardest. That one line sent shockwaves through social media. Tiny, caught in the middle, didn't say much either, but those close to her said she was torn apart. She never imagined things would go this far. What started as friendship drama had now turned into something ugly and public, and she was stuck between her husband and her former best friend. T.I.'s anger wasn't just about Shekinah. It was about everything he had been holding in for years. The cheating rumors, the broken trust, the public scrutiny. Shekinah's name just happened to be where all that frustration landed. Behind the scenes, T.I. told people he felt betrayed. He believed Shekinah had spoken too freely about his personal life, crossing boundaries he couldn't forgive. He saw her as disloyal, as someone who used their name for fame. But others painted a different story. They said Shekinah was hurt, manipulated, and abandoned. That she had been loyal beyond measure, until the loyalty became a weapon used against her. In the weeks that followed, more details began leaking out. Allegedly, there had been private moments between T.I. and Shekinah. Not romantic, but emotional. Late-night phone calls, personal conversations about Tiny and their problems. Shekinah had been a comfort to both of them during dark times. But somewhere along the line, those emotional lines blurred. People started speculating that T.I. felt guilty for confiding too much in someone outside his marriage. That his outburst wasn't about denial, it was about shame. T.I.'s friends said he felt trapped. No matter what he said, people twisted it. If he stayed quiet, they assumed guilt. If he defended himself, they said he was lying. So he did the one thing he always does when cornered. He attacked. And this time, Shekinah was the target. Meanwhile, Shekinah's world was falling apart. She had already lost her friendship with Tiny, and now T.I. was publicly humiliating her. She felt betrayed by both of them. Her emotional breakdowns online weren't for attention. They were cries of pain. She talked about feeling used and discarded, like her kindness was mistaken for weakness. Fans saw her heartbreak unfold in real time, and many stood by her, calling her the real victim of the situation. Tiny's silence spoke louder than words. Those who knew her said she was broken, embarrassed that her private issues had turned into public chaos. She wanted to defend her husband, but couldn't deny the hurt Shekinah felt. Every day, the tension between them grew heavier. T.I. and Tiny tried to move on, appearing together like nothing was wrong, but the world could see through it. Their smiles looked forced. Their chemistry was gone. The damage was done. As the weeks turned into months, more rumors surfaced. Insiders claimed that after T.I.'s outburst, he and Tiny had a massive argument behind closed doors. Tiny allegedly confronted him about the tone of his denial. She asked why he sounded so emotional, why he let his anger get that personal. And T.I. couldn't answer, because deep down, maybe he didn't even know. Maybe those emotions were more complicated than he was ready to admit. Some say T.I. felt cornered by his own guilt, that he hated Shekinah, not because of what she did, but because she reminded him of who he used to be. Others say he simply lost control in a moment of rage. Either way, his words left permanent scars. Shekinah reportedly fell into depression, questioning everything about herself and her past friendships. The people who once called her family had turned her into an enemy overnight. And yet, even after all that pain, Shekinah never exposed T.I. or Tiny. She could have gone live, revealed everything she knew, and destroyed them both. But she didn't. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of loyalty that never fully died. Instead, she stayed quiet, and her silence became its own kind of power. Fans began to see her as the one who took the high road, while T.I. continued to look defensive and bitter. As the drama unfolded, Atlanta couldn't stop talking. Every podcast, every gossip blog, every fan page had theories. Some believed T.I. and Tiny had more problems than anyone knew. Others thought Shekinah was holding secrets that could ruin reputations. And while everyone debated, the three of them quietly drifted further apart, each one carrying their own version of the truth. In public, T.I. doubled down. He went on live again, saying people were twisting his words, insisting there was never anything there, and that Shekinah was just a family friend. But no matter how hard he tried to convince the world, the damage had already been done. Because the more he denied, the more people believed there was something deeper hiding behind those angry words. Tiny tried to move forward with grace, but her trust in both sides was gone. The friendship that once made her laugh now brought her pain. Every reminder of Shekinah's name was a reminder of the chaos that nearly broke her marriage. Behind closed doors, she cried. not because she hated Shekinah, but because she missed her. Their bond had been real once. Now it was ashes. T.I., on the other hand, threw himself into his music, his business, his public image. But those who knew him said he was haunted. Guilt has a way of echoing in silence. He'd look at old photos, old videos from the show, and quietly stare before turning away. People around him said he'd bring up Shekinah's name every now and then, as if trying to make sense of how things went so wrong. He'd say things like, "I ain't got no problem with her no more. I just wish it never went that far," but apologies never came. The public outburst had drawn a line that couldn't be erased. Shekinah moved on, trying to rebuild her peace. She started posting again, focusing on positivity, healing, and self-love. But even then, the hurt lingered. Every time T.I. trended online, her comments would fill with people reminding her of his words. You could see the pain in her eyes even when she smiled. And somewhere deep down, Tiny probably still wondered what would have happened if she had stepped in sooner. If she had stopped the tension before it exploded. If she had defended her friend instead of watching everything crumble. But that's the thing about regret. It always shows up when it's too late. T.I.'s outburst did more than show anger. It exposed cracks in a world built on loyalty, fame, and control. What seemed like friendship became a story of pride, silence, and betrayal. Months later, T.I. stays quiet, Tiny avoids the topic, and Shekinah protects her peace. Sometimes she shares quotes about truth or healing, and fans know who they're for. Those 5 words, "I never loved Shekinah," changed everything, ending friendships and exposing fragile loyalty. In the end, it wasn't about love but truth, and the fear of it. Because when truth arrives, not everyone is ready to face it.